Good morning, everyone, council-elect, staff in attendance, and any visitors, as well as those viewing online. I'll take this moment to mention that all public meetings of Clearwater County are live streamed and recorded. Any verbal or written information provided may be included in public documents as per the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, or FOIP, Section 40, Subsection 1. And so, welcome everyone to Clearwater County's October 25th, 2021 organizational meeting. At the annual organizational meeting, the CAO is tasked with chairing the meeting until councillors take the official oath of office, and a Reeve and Deputy Reeve are elected. My name is Christopher Reed. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Clearwater County, and as such, that will be my duty this morning. After the Reeve and Deputy Reeve are nominated and appointed, the Reeve will chair the rest of the meeting from that point forward. So at this time, I'll call this meeting to order at 9:01, I see. So we'll go straight to item 2.1, official oath of councillors and code of conduct acknowledgement. So we'll refer to it, agenda item report, page 4. And starting with Division 1, each councillor will rise to our lovely podium, stand on the mark, and take the official oath of office and code of conduct acknowledgement as witnessed by Director Haggart, our Commissioner for Oaths. So Division 1, Jenny Melhath. So you go ahead, please. Yes.
I, Jennifer Cammy Melhoff, do solemnly swear and truly declare and affirm that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute, according to the law, the office of Division 1 Councillor for Clearwater County. I, Jennifer Cammy Melhoff, do solemnly swear to abide by the code of conduct councillors and community members while serving as a municipal elected official representing Clearwater County. I have read and fully understand the contents of the Code of Conduct bylaw on 1034 and agree to the terms and conditions as specified in the bylaw. Division 1, Councillor for Clearwater County.
And we'll just wait a moment for, of course, in COVID times, we'll do a quick in between. And I call Councillor-elect Sydney Graham, Division 2.
I, Sydney Danielle Graham, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute, according to the law, the office of Division 2 Councillor of Clearwater County, so help me God. I, Sydney Danielle Graham, do solemnly swear to abide by the code of conduct for councillors and committee members while serving as a municipally elected official representing Clearwater County. I have read and fully understand the contents of the code of conduct bylaw 1034 and agree to the terms and conditions as specified in the bylaw. Division 2 Councillor for Clearwater County.
I call Councillor-elect Darrell Lahi, Division 3.
I, Darrell Wayne Lockheed, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of Division 3 Councillor for Clearwater County. So help me God. I, Darrell Wayne Lockheed, do solemnly swear to abide by the Code of Conduct for councillors and committee members while serving as a municipally elected official representing Clearwater County. I have read and fully understand the contents of the Code of Conduct bylaw 1034 and agree to terms and conditions as specified in the bylaw.
We call on Councillor-elect Jordan Northcott, Division 4.
I, Jordan Northcott, do solemnly swear and truly declare to confirm that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of Division 4 Councillor for Clearwater County.
Right, use your name. Yeah, this is, yeah, fine, go ahead. Just use your name.
I, Jordan Northcott, do solemnly swear to abide by the Code of Conduct of councillors and committee members while serving as a municipally elected official representing Clearwater County. I read and fully understand the contents of the Code of Conduct bylaw 1034 and agree to terms and conditions as specified in the bylaw.
I'll make another one to sign. Right, thank you. Perfect.
We call on Councillor-elect Neil Ratcliffe, Division 5.
I, Neil Ratcliffe, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of Division 5 Councillor for Clearwater County. So help me God.
That's right there, sir. You can sign on the line for Jordan.
Better check that.
Yeah, she's doing fine.
I, Neil Ratcliffe, do solemnly swear to abide by the Code of Conduct for councillors and committee members while serving as a municipally elected official representing Clearwater County. I read and fully understand the contents of the Code of Conduct bylaw 1034 and the terms and conditions as specified in the bylaw.
I call on Councillor-elect Brian Cermak, Division 6.
I, Brian Cermak, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute and contribute according to law the office of Division 6 Councillor for Clearwater County, so be it. I, Brian Cermak, do solemnly swear to upon the code of conduct for councillors and committee members while serving as a municipal elected official in Clearwater County. I have read and fully understand the content of the code of conduct of the law of 1034 and agree to terms and conditions specified in the bylaw. Division 6 conflict of Clearwater County.
And I call on Councillor-elect Michelle Swanson, Division 7.
I, Michelle Marie Swanson, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute according to law the office of Division 7 Councillor for Clearwater County. So help me God. I, Michelle Swanson, do solemnly swear to abide by the code of conduct for councillors and committee members while serving as a municipally elected official representing Clearwater County. I have read and fully understood the contents of the code of conduct bylaw 1034 and agree to the terms and conditions as specified by the bylaw. Division 7, Comcast.
And as we finish up with that section, I'll just remind everybody, the official oath of councillors is a requirement of the Municipal Government Act, the MGA, Section 156, which states that a councillor may not carry out any power, duty, or function until that person has taken the official oath prescribed by the Oaths of Office Act. Secondarily, the Code of Conduct Acknowledgement. Council established the Code of Conduct Bylaw 1034 as per, again, the Municipal Government Act, MGA, Section 146.1, Subsection 1, and Subsection 3, which governs the conduct of councillors, members of council committees, or members of other boards in which Clearwater County is represented in spirit and intent of the position of public trust. So that was the first official work that you all had to do. Well done. We'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. And I do have amendments to the agenda that council will need to adopt, or accept rather. So late applications for member-at-large positions on the Central Alberta Economic Partnership Board and the Raven Recreation Board were received and distributed to council for review. You should find paper copies on your desks. Should council wish to consider John Vandermeer's application for this Central Alberta Economic Partnership Board and Timothy Hoven's application for the Raven Recreation Board, I ask for a motion to accept the late applications as presented. Should this motion be carried, their names will be added to the list of applicants. Is anyone willing to so move? Councillor Ratcliffe made the motion. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion regarding this item? If you have discussion, just push your button. Thank you. And so I see Councillor Swanson, you have something to say?
I realize that this is the start of a new council and everything else, but typically in the past, because of the outgoing and the ingoing of council members and the exchange, it has been a practice of the past. But understanding that going forward, the deadline has passed, but I fully appreciate the fact that there still wants to be some involvement to some capacity. So we do appreciate the residents and the people that have put forward their names as well in these positions. Thank you.
And I see Councillor Ratcliffe.
Yes, I think both of these people have a history of supporting the community, and I believe would be an asset to the positions they've applied for.
And Councillor Lougheed.
I might ask if there's something in policy that would support these late applications, or is it something that we've just done as a practice?
Thank you, Councillor. There is no policy prohibiting this. Council has the right to accept late applications, and as Councillor Swanson indicated, it is typically this situation occurs almost every election, and so Council recognizes that this may occur almost every time. But it is within your purview to accept or reject that request. And did that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Melhaff.
Well, I echo Councillor Radcliffe's understanding that these people be very helpful on the committees that they've asked to be a part of. I agree with Councillor Swanson saying that the deadline has passed, and just as myself put in for boards with the understanding that I may not be getting on council, I may not be elected by the people, and will be now withdrawing my nominations from those boards today. I'm not entirely sure if it would be fair to the people that did make the deadline from the public to be a part of these. If there is open spots, as there almost always is, they can be reposted and they can put their names forward at that time. But I think it'd be very unfair to the people that did meet the deadline.
And any other comments? Councillor Graham?
I'm just curious, for the committees that no one applied for, does it get reposted and there's another opportunity to apply, or, yeah?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. I should have probably followed up Councillor Melhaff's question with that information. That is exactly what will happen. Should there be any vacancies after today's organizational meeting, all of those vacancies will be reposted. And seeing no other lights on, I will call the question. So please vote all those in favor of adding or accepting the late applications you see before you. Councillor Ratcliffe made the motion. So yes, please hold up your hands if you're in favor of that motion. I see 1, 2, 3, so that motion is defeated. Moving forward with the agenda, Tim Plant's name is removed from the list of all applicants for Municipal Planning Commission and Subdivision Appeal Board as he withdrew those applications. And of course, Councillor Jenny Melhaff, her name will be removed from the list of applicants for the following boards and committees: Municipal Planning Commission, Rocky Senior Housing Commission, North Saskatchewan Recreation Board, Rocky and District Recreation Parks and Community Services, and the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, due to her success, obviously, becoming a councillor today. So without any further changes proposed, I ask for a motion to adopt the October 25th, 2021 organizational meeting agenda as amended. Thank you, Councillor Lougheed. And we've already had the discussion, so I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that motion is passed. So then we move to item 4.1, election of Reeve and official oath of that office. So the background here, MGA section 150 subsection 2 states that the chief elected official, brackets Reeve, of a municipal district is to be appointed by council from among the councillors unless council passes a bylaw providing that the official is to be elected by a vote of the electors of the municipality. No such bylaw has been passed in Clearwater County, and so the CAO will call for nominations 3 times. Now, let me finish before I'll explain the whole process. So the CAO will call for nominations 3 times for the position of Reeve. Seconders aren't necessary for any nominations. If there is more than 1 nomination, voting will be done by secret ballot upon request by a councillor. The MGA Section 185.1 Subsection 2 requires council to pass a resolution to confirm the vote taken by secret ballot. A resolution will be required for nominations to cease. The ballots will be counted by the CAO and actually by our counting committee, which will be Director Haggart and 1 other individual. They will return after counting the secret ballots. The CAO will announce the person elected as Reeve, but will not disclose the vote count. If there is a tie vote, the names will be placed in a hat and 1 name will be drawn by the counting committee. And again, that person will be announced as Reeve, but it will not be indicated by what vote or if there was a tie vote. Then council will provide a resolution to reflect the outcome of the secret ballot. And then the Reeve will be declared and then an oath will be sworn. And the Reeve will take the chair. At the conclusion of that meeting, a resolution will be required also to destroy the ballots, but we'll do that at the end. So, with the staff recommendation, of course, is the council authorizes the use of a secret ballot for elections during 2021 organizational meeting. And further, that nominations, so I will call that question first. The council authorizes the use of a secret ballot. No, I don't have to do that yet because we don't have that requirement, right? So at this time, I will first call for nomination of a councillor for the position of Reeve. I see Councillor Cermak.
Yes, I would like to nominate Councillor Swainson for Reeve.
And so Councillor Cermak nominates Councillor Swanson for Reeve. Councillor Swanson, will you allow your name to stand?
Yes, I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Councillor Swanson accepts the nomination. I will do a second call for nomination of a councillor for the position of Reeve. I see Councillor Ratcliffe.
I would like to nominate Darrell Lougheed. His lifetime of service to the community and personal integrity, I think, be a fine example of a Reeve for the...
Thank you, Councillor Ratcliffe. Councillor Lougheed, do you allow your name to stand?
I would allow my name to stand. Thank you.
All right. I will do a third call for nomination of councillor for the position of Reeve. And seeing none, I ask for a motion that nominations cease for election of Reeve. Is there any councillor willing to make that motion? Councillor Melhalf makes the motion the nominations cease, and there's no discussion needed, so I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that motion is carried. I now ask for a motion that council authorizes the use of secret ballot for election of Reeve and Deputy Reeve during the 2021 organizational meeting. Is there anyone willing to make that motion? Councillor Lougheed. And again, there's no discussion needed, so all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that motion is carried. And you will find now white slips of paper at your station, and please mark your ballot with the name of the councillor you are supporting for as Reeve. And Director Haggart will come around. You can fold it one time nicely, please and thank you. And Director Haggart will come with a red bucket to place those nominations in, those votes in. So we're going to do the vote for Deputy Reeve, right? And while that count is occurring, we're going to, in the interests of process, we're going to discuss the election of Deputy Reeve and that official oath. So MGA Section 152 Subsection 1 states that council must appoint one or more councillors as deputy chief elected officials so that only one councillor will hold that office at one time and the office will always be filled. The same procedure in the previous election will follow, except that the newly elected Reeve, so you guys remembering that this is actually my first organizational meeting too, so I may make the odd error, and so here's one where I misspoke. The same procedure as in the previous election will follow, and we will do the nominations the same and the call for resolutions as the same. And so, without further ado, I go like this and I turn my page. Oh, Ms. Haggard is back already. And we have a result for Reeve. And I want to make sure I get this exactly right. The wording is, Councillor Lougheed has been elected as Reeve of Clearwater County. So I ask for a motion now that Council appoints Councillor Lougheed to the position of Reeve as Clearwater County's chief elected official, effective immediately for a term ending at the 2022 organizational meeting. Who will so move? Councillor Melhaff so moves. And I call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that is carried. Reeve, please rise. And we will take the same swearing of oath ceremony that we did previously.
I, Harold Wayne Lougheed, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute according to law the office of chief elected official for Reeve for Clearwater County. So help me God.
And as our newly appointed Reeve Lougheed takes his chair, we'll continue on with item 4.2, election of Deputy Reeve. And I will do the first call for nomination of a councillor for the position of Deputy Reeve. Are there any councillors who wish to make a nomination for the position of Deputy Reeve? Councillor Cermak.
I'd like to nominate Reeve Vandermeer? No.
What we're looking for now, sir, is the nomination of the Deputy Reeve. So,
Deputy Reeve?
yes.
Jordan Northcott.
Thank you. I hear nomination for Councillor Northcott to be named Deputy Reeve. Do you allow your name to stand, Councillor Northcott? You allow your name to stand. Thank you. I'll make a second call for nominations to Deputy Reeve. I see Councillor Graham.
I would like to nominate Councillor Swanson.
Councillor Swanson, will you allow your name to stand? Councillor Swanson allows her name to stand. I'll make a third call for nominations to Deputy Reeve.
I nominate Jenny Melhaff.
Councillor Ratcliffe, you nominate Jenny Melhaff. Councillor Melhaff, do you allow your name to stand?
Yes, I nominate you to stand, thank you.
Okay, and I saw Councillor Lougheed.
I was beaten to the punch, so I won't.
Okay, nothing further to add.
Nominations.
So we have 3 councillors who've accepted nominations. I ask for a motion that nominations cease. Councillor Reeve Lougheed. And I ask, call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Nominations have ceased. So you will again find small pieces of white paper. Please mark your ballot with the name of the councillor you are voting for as Deputy Reeve.
Take the motion to cease nominations.
Okay, Reeve Lougheed. And in the interim, I will just remind everybody that after we have appointed the deputy, we will take a recess. And so far, so good. We've done well today. We will continue it on under the stewardship of our newly appointed Reeve Lougheed after the break. I suppose we could have played the Jeopardy theme song while we wait. But such is the process of democracy, as they say. And going back to my script, Councillor Northcott is elected as Deputy Reeve of Clearwater County. I ask for a motion that Council appoints Councillor Northcott to the position of Deputy Reeve as Clearwater County's Chief Elected Official, effective immediately for a term ending at the 2022 organizational meeting. Councillor Cermak would so move. And all those in favor? And that is carried. So as discussed, Deputy Reeve, if you'll rise and take your oath of office. Oh, sorry, give us just a moment. And the ghost of Clearwater County Council Chambers returns. There.
I, Jordan Kyle Northcott, solemnly swear to truly declare and affirm that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute according to law the office of Deputy Reeve for Clearwater County.
And with that, I congratulate you all on your appointments and the celebration of democracy we've had before us. And I will now call the meeting to recess for 15 minutes.
So I do come from a long line of teachers, so I'm going to try to channel my teacher voice here and be a little more assertive with my voice moving forward. And I might just say that the last few weeks have been eye-opening for me, and I'm humbled by my division's support of me to return as their counselor. I'm also humbled by this council's faith in me to offer me to serve as Reeve. So having said that, I will go back to script here as the old wizened one and say welcome back, everyone. We'll reconvene the meeting and start at the agenda item 5.1, and that is relating to the signing authority. So if we look at, sorry, if you just bear with me for a second while I actually get my So there will be a recommendation from staff on this. I'm just leafing through to that position. I did have that noted. Okay, so the staff recommendation is, of course, that council appoints the Reeve, Deputy Reeve, Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Director of Corporate Services, and Manager of Finance as signing authorities for Clearwater County, in accordance with Clearwater County's signing authorities policy, effective immediately. So I would be looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson? Any discussion on that? I don't think, because we have a new council that's somewhat unfamiliar with this, and maybe the staff has some comment around that.
May, Reeve Lougheed, what we'll typically do is the staff who's presenting the item will give the background.
Okay.
And so I could do that now, and then you can call for your motions and have discussion after the staff has given the background.
Okay.
Does that function?
That would be perfect,
Okay.
if you would.
Thank you. So, as mentioned, this item is signing authority, pardon me. And signing authority of municipal documents, Section 213, Subsection 1, minutes of council meetings must be signed by the person presiding at the meeting and the designated officer. And when council has a delegated power, duty, or function to a committee council, the minutes of a council committee meeting that deal with the power, duty, or function must be signed by the person presiding at the meeting, the designated officer, and the designated officer. Section 3, bylaws must be signed by the chief elected official and a designated officer. Agreements and checks and other negotiable instruments must be signed or authorized by the chief elected official or by any other person authorized by council to sign them, and by a designated officer, or by a designated officer acting alone if so authorized by council. A signature may be printed, lithographed, or otherwise reproduced if so authorized by council. So with that background allowing or explaining how this staff recommendation falls within the law, the staff recommendation is indeed that council appoint the Reeve, Deputy Reeve, Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Director of Corporate Services, and Manager of Finance as signing authorities for Clearwater County in accordance with Clearwater County's signing authorities policy, effective immediately. And the second recommendation from staff is that council authorizes the use of a printed, lithographed, or otherwise reproduced signature of the appointed Clearwater County signing authorities. Thank you, Reeve.
Thank you. So any further questions? Councillor Swanson had made a motion as to the first recommendation. I'm ready to call that question. All those in favor? And that's carried. And we have a second motion that council authorize the use of printed, lithographed, or otherwise reproduced signature of the appointed Clearwater County signing authorities. We will need a motion for that one as well. Councillor Cermak. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. That moves us on to, again, I'm reading my script here for the first time, so just like an actor. Boy, it goes quickly.
Yep, it does.
So the next item is 6.1, and that is meeting dates, and that would of course be our council meeting dates over the next year. So I guess, do you have some comments around that or some background?
Absolutely, thank you, Reeve Lougheed. MGA Section 193, Subsection 1 allows council to set dates for regular meetings without public notification of each meeting. Currently, regular meetings are scheduled every second and fourth Tuesday of each month, except August and December, in the county office at 4340 47th Avenue, Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, beginning at 9 a.m. Exceptions to this schedule apply to August to accommodate vacation time, November to accommodate the RMA 2021 Fall Conference, and December to accommodate Christmas statutory holidays. Therefore, the proposed regular meeting dates scheduled for 2021-2022 are as follows: November 9th and December 14th, and into 2022, January 11th and 25th, February 8th and 22nd, March 8th and 22nd, April 12th and 26th, May 10th and 24th, June 14th and 28th, July 12th and 26th, August 23rd, September 13th and 27th, October 11th and 25th. And the recommendation is that 2021 regular meetings of County Council be scheduled as described, and that 2022 meetings of County Council be scheduled as described. At 9 a.m. in the Clearwater County office at 4340-47 Avenue, Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And that's, I can answer any questions if there are any, or if you're prepared for your motions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Reed? Seeing none, I ask for a motion that the 2021 regular meetings of Clearwater County Council be scheduled as follows: November 9th, December 14th, and 2022 regular meetings of Clearwater County Council be scheduled as follows: January 11th and 25th, February 8th and 22nd, March 8th and 22nd, April 12th and 26th, May 10th and 24th, June 14th and 28th, July 12th and 26th, August 23, September 13th and 27th, October 11th and 25, starting at 9 a.m. in the Clearwater County office at 4340 47th Avenue, Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. Looking for that motion. Councillor Graham? Any further discussion? If not, I'll call a question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the appointments to boards and committees. And I'll ask CO Reed to explain the process.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. Depending on councillors' personal time commitments and schedules, they may wish to volunteer as council's representative on various board and committees. Should there be more councillors interested than available positions, a vote by secret ballot will be conducted. The same will apply to member-at-large positions. And the first item you have before you is items. Oh, right. I apologize. Stay to the script. So your turn.
Are there any questions? So I guess I'm gonna, okay, sorry, Councillor Cermak.
Yes, I would like to go in camera to designate some stuff, personal stuff, before we get into the organization of putting in for the different committees that we will attend.
So Councillor Cermak, I know we go into camera for a number of reasons, and perhaps CEO Reed can outline those and then see if one of those fits in what you're asking for here. There may be other options for what you want to communicate to council.
Okay.
Outside of going in camera, but I'm you know, I mean, if we can find a path forward for you that you're comfortable with, does that make sense?
Sure.
So certainly, as we discussed last week in your orientation, there are really the three L's that are easy to describe. If there's a legal issue, a land issue, or a liability issue.
Yep.
And so you're feeling that there are items you'd wish to discuss
Yes.
in one of those three areas or more of those three areas?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
So I guess in that case, we would need a motion from council to go in camera, and we can move forward pending the result of that motion. So if that's a motion you would like to make,
Yes.
Councillor Cermak? All right. Any further questions on this? Seeing none, I will call the question of going in camera. All those in favor?
Thank you.
And I see, yes, I see that that's carried. So we will take a short recess and go in camera. So welcome back from our closed session. There will be no motions coming out of that session, and we will continue on with our agenda. And I believe we were at the point of seeking our board appointments at this time, and CEO Reeve was in the process of explaining that, and maybe you can recap us to get at least myself back on the mind thought of where we're going.
Excellent, thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So where we were was we're about to discuss, or rather you're about to consider the question for using a secret ballot, should a secret ballot be needed for the next 40 some odd committee appointments. So depending on councillors' personal time commitments and schedules, you may wish to volunteer as council representative on various boards and committees. Should there be more councillors interested than available positions, a vote by secret ballot will be conducted. The same applies to member-at-large positions should it be required. And I can answer any questions about that, but.
Sure, yeah, if there are any questions. If not, I guess I will ask for a motion that council authorizes the use of secret ballot for board and committee appointments at the 2021 organizational meeting. And so I'm looking for that motion. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So we will now proceed with the first appointment, and that will be item 7.1.1, and that is the Agricultural Service Board.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So the background, established by bylaw 1081 and acknowledged within the Agricultural Service Board Act, this board serves as an advisory body to council and residents on all matters pertaining to agriculture. Meetings are scheduled currently on the third Friday every 2 months. There is a public member appointment requirement as well, and council received applications and/or expressions of interest under separate cover as per Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, Section 17, disclosure harmful to personal privacy. So those applications are not part of the public agenda, but you all received them. From the following, Teresa Lang and Karen Melhalf. So the staff recommendation is that council would appoint 2 councillors to the Agricultural Service Board for a 1-year term effective today, and that council appoints a public member and an alternate public member to the Agricultural Service Boards for a 4-year term effective November 1st, 2021. And I can answer any questions. I won't say that every time, but I'm always available to answer any questions. Oh.
So
I missed part of the script, of course. Current councillor Melhalf was on the current ASB as a member at large, and so we will acknowledge your resignation from that position, to be very clear. So as per the resignation of councillor Melhalf, a vacancy for a member at large with a partial term ending on October 31st, 2023 is created, and administration advises re-advertising for the remaining term of that vacancy.
would there be any discussion around that re-advertising? We would have to have a motion to re-advertise, I believe, would we not?
Yeah, if you flip the page on the script too, that's what's next.
Okay, yeah, oh, I see that.
We'll get this, right? You and I were in this together.
I'm trying to anticipate what's coming next, and I'm going off one set of notes, and now I've got a script to go with, so we'll hopefully all get to the same place eventually, and if you bear with me as I gain traction with slippery shoes here. So I guess I will ask for a motion that council advertises for a member at large to fill the vacancy on the ASB. And would anybody be?
Sorry, we want to answer the question.
Yes, by all means.
When we have a vacancy, but we have two names available, are we able to appoint both of those people then in that place to avoid the re-advertising?
I think because you will have.
I had to remove my name. I was the third.
Right, we do, am I correct in assuming we need 3 positions total?
Oh, okay, I apologize.
So ultimately, we would have to find somebody interested from the public for that additional position.
My mistake, I thought there was only 2.
I think today we are appointing 2, but I think there is a third position since your resignation. Is that correct?
You're absolutely right, Reeve Lougheed, thank you.
So again, I will be asking for a motion that we advertise, and did I have a motioner? Yes. Oh, a question, absolutely.
So when we nominate one of these people to be the alternate, can they reapply to be, like, to fill?
I believe so.
Okay.
I would defer to
Absolutely.
Mr. Reeve.
They can, yeah. It will make the next meeting have a nice script, but it will be fine.
Any further questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion for that? Councillor Ratcliffe, sorry, I rented lips here. And I guess I will call that motion. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. I guess then we will refer to agenda item 7.1.1. We are looking for expressions, okay. If, councillors, if you have, indicate your interest in serving on the ASB, let the record show which councillors are interested in that position. I have served on that in the past myself, and I find it very rewarding, so I would encourage people to step up to that one. Councillor Melhoff, Councillor Graham, and Councillor Northcott. Any further, sorry.
That's fine. As the outgoing chair, I just would like to express that if I was to be selected as the councillor representation on that board, I feel that it would give some continuity just as the outgoing chair of the Ag Services Board.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any further expressions of interest for that position? So I got to follow my script here. I keep jumping out of it. So I guess at this stage, we would use our secret ballots, and you would indicate your choices, two choices?
That's correct.
Two choices for the position of ASB.
So you, at this time, you could do the public appointments while we wait.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. There's no sense of us. We have quite a number of these appointments to make, so let's try to double up as much as possible. So we have two potential candidates, I believe, and two spots at the moment. So how do we work forward with that?
Is there a councillor willing to nominate with names in those two positions? So if there was someone willing to make a motion with names in those two positions, then you can act on that motion before you.
Okay, fair enough. Councillor Melhoff?
I would move that we would look at Teresa Lang as the public member and Karen Melhoff as the alternate.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion on that? If not, I believe we would just call that motion. All those in favor of that appointment? That would be carried. Thank you very much. So then I would ask for a motion to appoint. I think I got to flip the page here then, do I? Yes, we wait for the first one?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This time it's perfect timing. And so I will acknowledge the results of the secret ballot. Councillors Melhoff and Graham have been nominated to that board. And so if Reeve Laird, you'll ask for a motion to appoint those two councillors to the Agricultural Service Board.
Absolutely, Reeve Lougheed.
What did I say?
Kind of a flashback you had. Don't worry about it. We know what you meant.
Okay, thank you.
So I would ask for a motion to appoint councillors Melhoff and Graham to the Agricultural Service Board for a term, or for a one-year term, effective October 25th, 2021. And I'll call that question. All in favor?
Damn it.
Carried. I think I got ahead of myself there.
Thank you.
You're perfect.
And then we are also going to ask for a motion to appoint public members Teresa Lang and Karen Malhoff as alternate for the Agricultural Service Board for,
If I may, Reeve
Sorry.
Lougheed, you did pass that motion
I
already.
did pass that
Yes.
motion already?
Yeah, right before the secret ballot came back.
Okay.
So you're right on track
Okay.
to move on to 7.1.2.
okay. So we're, the next item will be 7.1.2, and that is the Clearwater County Heritage Grant Advisory Committee. And I will turn it back over to you, CAO, for info around that.
I will be very particular about that. Established by bylaw 1081 to facilitate and streamline the heritage grant application process, this committee reviews and approves heritage interpretation, recognition, and celebration-related project grant applications. Meetings take place at least once per year, dependent on receipt of applications. There is a public member required. Council received applications and/or expressions of interest from the following: Jersey Maslanka. And so the two recommendations are that council appoints two councillors to this board, a councillor and a councillor alternate, for the Heritage Grant Advisory Committee for a one-year term. And also the second recommendation, the council appoints a public member for a two-year term effective January 1.
Thank you. I guess any questions around this? If not, I guess I'm looking to the councillors to indicate if you have an interest in serving on the Clearwater County Heritage Grant Advisory Committee. Councillor Swanson? And any other? Councillor Northcott? And am I seeing any other interest in this? If not, I would note that Councillor Swanson and Northcott have indicated interest in that. I believe, is this one is there an alternate on this?
Correct.
Or
You have a
two?
one and a one.
One and a one,
A
so,
councillor to attend regularly and an alternate should that councillor not be able to attend.
so is there a, who is the designate and who would prefer to be the alternate?
You would prefer that? Okay.
Okay. So with that stated, I can, I guess I can ask for a motion to appoint Councillor Swanson and Councillor Northcott as an alternate to the Clearwater County Heritage Grant Advisory Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. And I shall call that, you so move? Okay, I will call the question then. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we have of course, we have a public members appointment as well, and we have one applicant for that position. I think we can look for a motion to appoint that member or that public member as the on that committee. If I have a motion to do so, to appoint Jerry Maslanka as a public member for the Clearwater County Heritage Grant Advisory Committee for a two-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Councillor Ratcliffe, all those in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Cermak, I didn't see your hand one way or the other. Sorry. That's all in favor. Thank you. And that brings us to the next, so I just got to remember where we were at, 7 point. I'm shifting from script, and I'm now moving off script, so bear with me as I try to keep us moving forward. So now we kind of go into the 7.1.3, that's the Strategic Planning Committee. That, I believe, is a committee of the whole. So what we're looking here is that, and I'll actually let CEO Reeve introduce this.
Certainly. So established by bylaw 1081, the Strategic Planning Committee may review, evaluate, and make staff recommendations to council regarding setting of priorities, bylaw development, policy development, business planning, financial planning and budget, legal services and agreement, land sale or purchase and negotiations, personnel matters, or economic development and tourism activities. Meetings are scheduled on the third Monday in January, April, June, and September, and for 3 days in December for budget discussions. So staff recommendation is what we're looking for. Council appoints all council members to the Strategic Planning Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021, and that the meeting schedule be as described. So 2 motions, please.
Okay. Any questions for staff on this? I think it's relatively straightforward. So we will need 2 motions. First of all, that I would ask for a motion that council appoints all council members to the Strategic Planning Committee for a one-year term, effective October 25th, 2021. I'm looking for that motion. Councillor Graham? I shall call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Second motion, that the 2021 Strategic Planning Committee meetings be scheduled as follows: December 15th, 16th, 17th. That's for budget deliberations. And 2022 meetings be scheduled as follows: January 17th, April 18th, June 20, September 19th, starting at 9 a.m. in the county office at right here, 4340 47th Avenue, Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And I'm looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson? And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That's carried. So that brings us up to the next one, which is the Internet Broadband Committee. And I will again turn it over to CAO Reeve to give us some background information on that.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So again, by bylaw 1081, this committee develops vision statement, public engagement strategy, and advises council on matters related to development and operations of an open access network, broadband infrastructure in Clearwater County. This committee is intended as a forum for discussion related to broadband infrastructure development project, and as a committee of council, it only has the authority to recommend action to council. So the recommendation is the council would appoint all council members to the Internet Broadband Committee for a one-year term effective today.
Thank you for that. Any further questions on this? I think it's relatively straightforward. Again, this is one of our committees of the whole. So I'm looking for a motion that council appoints all council members to the Internet Broadband Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Councillor Swanson, you're winning the draw here. This is good. Any further questions? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. That brings us to 7.1.5, and that is the Pest and Weed Control Appeal Board. And I will turn it back over to CAO Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So again, bylaw 1081, and acknowledged within the Agricultural Pest and Weed Control Act, this board hears appeals of inspector notices, local authority notices, or debt recovery notices. As you are all aware, we are an agricultural county, and so sometimes there are weed notices, weed actions on properties that require the use of an appeal process. And so the appeal board may confirm, reverse, or vary the inspector's notice, local authority notice, or debt recovery notice. The Pest and Weed Control Appeal Board shall consist of 5 councillors who are not appointed to the ASB. And so the motion is that council would appoint those 5 councillors who are not appointed, which, if I was sharper, I'd have written that down. It would end up being, it's the 2 of you that have been appointed to the ASB. So councillors Northcott, all the way through, Reeve Lougheed, Councillor Ratcliffe, Councillor Cermak, and Councillor Swanson.
Great. Any further questions on this? Again, I'm seeing these things as being relatively straightforward, but don't let me gloss over it. If you have questions, by all means, this is the time to get that knowledge base up to full speed. If not, I'm looking for a motion that council appoints the councillors to my, the immediate councillor to my right, I'll just name the names. Councillor Northcott, I'm gonna have Reeve Lougheed, Councillor Ratcliffe, Councillor Cermak, and Councillor Swanson to the Pest and Weed Control Appeal Board for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. I'm looking for that motion. Councillor Malhoff, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? That is carried, thank you. That brings us back into the planning authorities section of this. We will look at 7.2.1. I'm wondering if, I'm just looking at the clock here, we're at about 10:30. Would we like to take a short coffee break for 10 minutes to refill your coffee and get some feeling back in your toes? Okay, we'll meet back at 10:40. On sharp, I'm gonna crack the gavel here. Well, welcome back after our break. We're ready to continue on with appointments. Oh, I guess I don't need this on anymore either. Thank you for that. I do appreciate people helping me along this process. Hopefully it becomes automatic at some point of time, but right now I'm struggling using my brain power. And anyway, moving forward, we're moving into the Planning Authority section. That is our 7.2 section. So the first is the Intermunicipal Development Plan Committees. And I'll turn it back over to CAO Reed.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So with our closest three municipalities, we do have intermunicipal development plans which require committee members for their committees. And so the Caroline Clearwater Intermunicipal Development Plan adopted by Bylaw 1061/19 establishes a committee to facilitate the ongoing sharing of information between the two councils and provide a forum to review and comment on topics related to land use planning development that are of mutual interest. The committee meets at least annually to discuss planning issues of mutual interest or concern. The same thing with the Town of Rocky Mountain House, Clearwater County, established by the Rocky Clearwater 2007 Intermunicipal Development Plan. This committee monitors and oversees implementation of the plan itself, reviews proposed annexation and amendments, and serves as an advisory body to both councils. Meetings are scheduled as required. And then we have County of Wetaskiwin number 10, Clearwater County Intermunicipal Committee as well, adopted by Bylaw 1074/19, establishes a committee to develop recommendations to both councils on all matters of strategic direction and cooperation affecting residents. The committee meets as required at a minimum once every 4 years to review the intermunicipal development plan in conjunction with intermunicipal collaborative framework review from Bylaw 1075/19. And I'll just add a bit of extra background. These committees are typically staffed or members are taken from the division that is connected to the partner. That's typically what's done. So, for example, the staff recommendation, if council were to follow that logic, the council appoints councillors to the Caroline Clearwater, that would be, of course, Councillor, Cermak and Councillor Northcott. That would be typically what has been done in the past and makes the most logical sense for understanding the relationship and the issues of that area. And so the same thing for the three councillors to the Rocky Clearwater Intermunicipal Development Plan and the two councillors to the Wetaskiwin Clearwater Intermunicipal Development Plan. So I don't know if that helps a little bit to direct your motions as you want to have them developed.
Yes, thank you. Again, three motions coming here, three separate motions. Any questions on this one at all? Seeing none, then I guess we would look for an expression of interest for the Caroline Clearwater. Councillor Cermak and Councillor Northcott, I think that's a natural fit as well. Anybody else interested? If not, I'll look for a motion to appoint those councillors to that spot. Councillor Malhoff? So moved then. All those in favor? And that would be carried. Thank you. Again, moving to the Rocky Clearwater Intermunicipal Development Plan Committee for a one-year term. Looking for expressions of interest in that position. That requires three councillors. Councillor Ratcliffe, Councillor Malhoff, and Councillor Swanson. Okay, any further interest in that position? If not, I will call a question.
Ask for a motion.
I will ask for a motion to appoint Councillors Swanson, Malhoff, and Ratcliffe to that Development Plan Committee. Councillor Cermak, thank you. And I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. And then one third appointment here, looking for expressions of interest for the Wetaskiwin Clearwater Intermunicipal Committee. Councillor Graham and Councillor Swanson. Any further? Seeing none, I ask for a motion to appoint Councillors Graham and Swanson. Thank you very much. I'll call the question then. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. That takes care of 7.2.1. And we're moving forward into the Municipal Development or Municipal Planning Commission. And I'll turn it over to CAO Reeve for some background.
So, established by bylaw 997 and acknowledged within the MGA, the MPC is an advisory committee to council and development authority for land use development, rezoning, and acts as the decision-making body for subdivisions. Meetings are scheduled on the third Wednesday of every month. A member of the commission shall not include the development officer, a member of the subdivision appeal board, or an employee of the county. And so you have 3 councillors to appoint, as well as 2 members at large. And you have received expressions of interest applications under separate cover from the following. Kim Elliott, who's a current member, Jennifer Melhalf, who has resigned, Teresa Lang, Karen Melhalf, and Tim Plant. Tim Plant also withdrew his name as well, right? So you have Kim Elliott, Teresa Lang, Karen Melhalf. So you have 3 applicants for your 2 appointments, and so therefore we can run and we should run the secret ballot process.
That's correct. Thank you. Any questions on this? If not, then I am looking for expressions of interest as from councillors for serving on this. I will express interest myself in that. I've served there before and find it very rewarding. Jenny, are you interested? And Jordan and Neil are both interested. We can go to secret ballot and choose from that. So in this case, we would be. Oh, you will withdraw? Okay, that's even more forthright. All right. So in that case, then I'm looking for a motion that we appoint councillors Lougheed, Northcott, and Melhoff, I believe, yes, to the Municipal Planning Commission. Looking for a motion that way. Councillor Swanson, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. That brings us next to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board.
Sorry, if I may,
Sorry,
we'll need to do the
missed it.
secret
Sorry,
ballot for
absolutely.
the public.
Yeah, another motion here. And in this case, we have 3 indications of interest from the public for this position, so we will be going to a secret ballot on this. Sorry?
I was just going to say, so you have Kim Elliott, Teresa Lang, and Karen Melhalf. Those are the 3 names you need to choose 2 of. And Director Haggart will bring the red bucket around. The 3 names, that you have to choose 2 of are Kim Elliott, who's a current member, Teresa Lang, and Karen Melhalf.
I guess while we're waiting for that, we can move forward into, I believe the next is the 7.2.3, and that is the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, and I'll turn it back over to Christopher.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So, established by bylaw 1098 and acknowledged within the MGA, the Subdivision Appeal Board provides an appeal mechanism for developments and subdivisions and environmental cleanup orders. Meetings are scheduled as required, averaging 5 times per year. A member of the board shall not include a member of the Municipal Planning Commission, a person who carries out development or subdivision powers on behalf of the county, or an employee of the county. Council received applications and/or expressions of interest from the following: Patricia Butler, who is the current alternate, and Tim Plant. And Tim has withdrawn his application. And because You only have one public member appointment to make. You can choose to acclaim that Patricia Butler if you'd like, if you can have a motion for that. The motions, there are 4 motions. Right now, I thought we would just deal with council appointing the public member to the Subdivision
Okay.
Appeal Board.
Any questions at all right now on that? Do we want to go ahead then with our public member appointment for the Subdivision Appeal Board? Or do we want to wait for the results from?
Well, you're kind of in the middle of it. You might as well go ahead.
Okay, so let's go ahead with that appointment to the public member of the Subdivision Appeal Board, and we have one applicant for that. I guess we need a motion to acclaim that applicant. Councillor Melhoff? All those in favor? That's carried, thank you.
So returning to your Municipal Planning Commission outstanding secret ballot, the motion would be that council appoints Kim Elliott and Teresa Lang as public members to the Municipal Planning Commission for a 1-year term effective October 25th, 2021.
Great, so I'm looking for somebody to make the motion that Christopher, or Mr. Reed has brought forward. Councillor Malhoff, all those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. We're also looking for the appointment of public members for the Municipal Planning Commission. And, oh, sorry, that's what we just did, sorry about that. So that moves us on into the Subdivision Appeal Board appointments as well. So we're looking for expressions of interest from councillors. Councillor Swanson and Councillor Cermak. Any other expressions of interest? Councillor Graham, okay.
I just want to say that this is, this particular committee, because I currently sit on it, will require training. This is something that going forward that we will all partake in, but yeah, it is. I'm currently up to date in my training, so that's why I'm putting my name forward.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Reed could give some light on that as well. It is a quasi-legal proceeding, so there is some understanding level of your responsibilities there. So maybe you can speak to that. Sorry.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. Councillor Swanson's absolutely correct. And your phrase quasi-judicial is commonly used for this particular board. And they have the ability to act outside of our decision-making, if you want an easy way to describe it. And so you will need to have not only 2 members, but you will also need to appoint the chair and the vice chair. But in addition to that, the training that Councillor Swanson noted, if it is extensive training, it will take several days. And if you are thinking at all that perhaps you wouldn't be able to make that training, then you wouldn't be eligible to continue on with the board, thus putting council back to selecting someone else. So if you are comfortable that you will commit to taking that training, or you already have it in the case of Councillor Swanson, then you should feel comfortable putting your name forward. But if you are feeling that you wouldn't be able to attend, or your time commitments are such that you're concerned about that, then I would suggest you don't put your name forward.
Councillor Cermak?
I would like to remove my name. I don't have the time if it's extra training.
Okay, and you would still like to have your name forward? Okay. So as I have it now, the motion would read that council appoints Councillor Swanson and Councillor Graham as alternate to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board for a 1-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those, oh, sorry, I need to have the motion. I'm going to have to get this process right. Looking for that motion. Councillor Ratcliffe? I will call the motion then. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
And so then, if I may, Reeve
Yes, by
Lougheed,
all
so the
means.
third motion you see before you is to appoint the chair and vice chair. And again, typically you would choose the representative as your chair and the alternate as the vice chair.
Okay. So again, expressions of interest that way, I would assume that those people would be interested in those positions. In that case, I'm looking for a motion to that effect, that council appoints, or the council appoints Councillor Swanson as SDAB chair and Councillor Graham as SDAB vice chair for a one-year term effective October 21st, 2021. Councillor Cermak, and I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. And then I think the last one, oh, sorry.
Well, I was only going to describe, the last one is the administrative support for that committee, again, required by the enabling legislation. So that council would appoint Christine Haggart as the Subdivision Appeal Board Clerk, and Alana McLean at that corner, and Tracy Haight and Sabrina Walter as alternate SDAB clerks for a one-year term, effective October 25th, 2021.
Thank you for that, and I will make that motion. And any further questions? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So that brings us, I'm going to flip the page here. Oh, we're getting down the list. So this is 7.3, which is our intermunicipal and regional committees. And so we will start with 7.3.1. And that is the Clearwater Regional Emergency Advisory Committee. And again, I turn it over to Mr. Reeve.
So, established by bylaw 1108 and acknowledged within the Emergency Management Act, this committee consists of 7 elected members of council from Clearwater County, 1 elected member of council from the village of Caroline, and 1 elected member of council from the summer village of Burnstick Lake. The committee's purpose is to advise council on the development of regional emergency programs, and at least once a year for consideration and approval by the municipalities. The committee also provides the Regional Emergency Management Agency with guidance and direction and appoints a regional director of emergency management. The committee meets annually or more frequently as required and may meet on less than 24 hours notice should the need arise. So given that enabling bylaw, the council, with the recommendation is the council appoints all council members to the Clearwater Regional Emergency Advisory Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021.
Okay, any questions on that? Therefore, I'm looking for a motion as to how Christopher Reed has outlined that. Councillor Millihoff? All right, thank you very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Brings us to 7.3.2, the ICC or Intermunicipal Cooperation or Collaboration Committee, and that's with the town of Rocky Mountain House, Village of Caroline, and Clearwater County. And I'll again turn it over to Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So established by an intermunicipal collaboration framework, which is named Stronger Together, Building Opportunities for Our Future Agreement. This non-decision-making intermunicipal cooperation or collaboration committee, or ICC, strategically identifies regional opportunities and priorities for intermunicipal actions, including, but not limited to, the intermunicipal regional fire rescue services, and serves as an advisory body for the respective councils. Meetings are scheduled a minimum of 4 times per year. And the 5 primary functions of the ICC are proactively identify new service areas or opportunities, address intermunicipal opportunities that arise on an as-needed basis where no existing structure exists to deal with the matter. 3, prioritize activity and develop appropriate measures, processes, subcommittees to address areas in consideration. 4, represent the region locally and provincially. 5, address areas where intermunicipal differences in need of resolution may arise. And so the recommendation is that council would appoint the Reeve and 2 other councillors, 1 to the board and 1 as the alternate, to the Intermunicipal Cooperation or Collaboration Committee for a one-year term effective today.
Thank you. So I'm looking for expressions of interest as a councillor position. Councillor Malhoff and Councillor Ratcliffe. Now, I guess one thing to sort out is who would like to be primary and alternate, I guess is the question here. If I can.
And if you wish, we can certainly do a secret ballot for that decision if the two councillors are both super keen.
Okay.
I'm thinking of that the town is in Division 5. And Division 1.
We do have these neighboring.
If we arm wrestle, I'll probably lose. So I will happily be the alternate.
And so would I, so I'm good either way. If you would like to, and I will take the alternate, how about that? You take up more of the town than I do anyway, so that would make it fair.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Malhoff. Are you okay with that?
Yes,
Councillor
sir.
Ratcliffe? Yes. Okay, so the motion then would read that council appoints Reeve, Councillor Ratcliffe, and Councillor Malhoff as alternate to the Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th. So I'm looking for that motion. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. On to the next one. This is the Airport Commission. So I'll again turn it over to CAO Reeve.
And so the background here is established by an operating management agreement from August 2013 between the Town of Rocky Mountain House and Clearwater County. The Commission develops policy, rules, and regulations in all aspects of operating and managing the airport. Meetings are scheduled as required. And currently, the Town of Rocky Mountain House is the operating partner. I should have mentioned this previously but anyway, it doesn't matter. So the operating partner takes the job of operating the asset, but we currently own that asset as a shared asset. And so the recommendation would be the council appoints 2 councillors and a councillor as an alternate for a one-year term. I'm not sure if this has always been the case, but previously the Reeve has been one of those councillors.
So again, I guess we're looking, I guess, any further questions on the Airport Commission? If not, we're looking for an expression of interest by councillors. Councillor Ratcliffe, thank you, and I would serve as an alternate on that, or I can step up and boldly go forward just because you mentioned that the Reeve has typically been involved with that commission.
The Reeve has been the chair of that particular committee as well.
Right.
So, and I don't have it memorized perfectly, but I believe actually that the agreement stipulates that Rocky Mountain House is the operating partner while we will chair the meeting.
I see.
But I've been wrong before, but I'm pretty confident on that. But regardless, it will take certainly a good, strong leader to chair that committee, whoever goes.
Okay, that's great then. I guess I should say, is there any further interest in this? If not, then I guess the motion will read that council appoints Councillor Ratcliffe and Reeve, Lougheed, I have to get used to saying that, people, and Councillor Swanson as alternate for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. And I'll ask any further questions on that. If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. That takes us to the next one, Rocky Senior Housing Council. And same old.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So, established by Alberta Seniors and Housing Ministerial Order number H:063/2000, this council, which is known as a management body, is responsible for the operation and administration of senior housing accommodations in Caroline, Leslieville, Rocky Mountain House. Meetings are scheduled on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. And there are 2 councillors to be appointed and 1 public member appointment. The council did receive 3 applications, one of which has withdrawn, of course, but Sherilyn Black, the current member, and Karen Melhalf are your 2 applicants. And so we will run the secret ballot process for those 2 applicants. And so you have Sherilyn Black or Karen Melhalf to choose from, and the red bucket will come around.
Hey, more one of your paper strips, I seem to have misplaced one.
I apologize, there's one extra bit of information, and that is that the housing board itself did ask if council would see fit to continue Sherilyn Black's membership for continuity. They were looking for some continuation of their current strength. And so that recommendation comes forward from that board to your board now.
And so we are choosing 2.
You're choosing 1. You
We're
have
choosing
2
only
to
one?
choose from.
That's correct.
Sherilyn
Choosing
Black
one, okay.
versus, or Karen Melhalf. I apologize for that terminology. And you have had the board recommend Sherilyn Black.
Or do we do this?
We're set up. Let's go with it.
And I believe it'd be appropriate probably to move ahead with the council appointments to the same council. So what we're looking for is expressions of interest. Councillor Cermak and Councillor Swanson. Any further expressions of interest? If not, I guess I'm be looking for a motion to reflect those interests. Councillor Melhalf.
I so move.
And any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
Thank you. And the results of the secret ballot would indicate the motion would be that council appoints Sherilyn Black as public member to the Rocky Senior Housing Council for a 1-year term, effective November 1.
Okay. So looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Cermak. And any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Takes us to the library boards. We have a number of those, and I will turn that over to CAO Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. So, established by the Libraries Act, bylaws of the applicable municipality and regional agreements, these boards manage and provide municipal library services, and you'll see that word manage again. So, these boards, in fact, do take care of the actual operations, in opposition to a governance board such as yourself, where you make, direction setting and strategic planning. This board will actually worry about the day-to-day, as the previous committee did as well. Or council rather. So you have the Caroline Municipal Library Board, and meetings are scheduled on the first Monday in November, February, April, June, and October. You have the Rocky Mountain House Public Library Board, and meetings are scheduled on the third Wednesday of every month. You do have, and I'll go to Parkland Regional Library Board. Meetings are scheduled once per month, February, May, September, and November. And you also have a recommendation for a public member or trustee appointment. And council did receive 1 applicant for that public member appointment, and it's the current member, Karen Melhalf. So you have 4 recommendations: a councillor to the Caroline Municipal Board, a councillor to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board, and 2 councillors, one as main councillor and one as alternate, to the Parkland Regional Library Board. And I should give you a little more background. The Parkland Regional Library Board is the umbrella organization that provides services such as intermunicipal library loans to all of our libraries in the region. And so you have a councillor and an alternate for that. And then you have a recommendation that, given if you are accepting the 1 applicant, Karen Melhalf, would be appointed as trustee by the Town of Rocky Mountain House. So you're only recommending that the Town of Rocky Mountain House would appoint her to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board for a 3-year term effective January 1, 2022.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we'll deal with them one at a time. So we'll deal with the Caroline Municipal Library Board first. Expressions of interest. Councillor Cermak, any other ones? If not, then I guess the motion I'm looking for is that council appoints Councillor Cermak to the Caroline Municipal Library Board for a one-year term, effective October 25th, 2021. Any further questions? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, I'll call for that motion, sorry. I'll get this yet, I'll get it yet. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Again, any questions? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried, thank you. Moving on to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board, expressions of interest for that. Councillor Swanson? Okay, so then I guess what I'm looking for is a motion that council appoints Councillor Swanson to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Councillor Ratcliffe, I saw the reflection in the glass here. I think it's a talent that previous Reeves have had, that they can see the reflections. It's like a fly that has that vision all over. Yes, a motion from Councillor Ratcliffe. Any further discussion on that? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Now we're looking for appointment of a trustee, and I think our person that has mentioned interest there is Karen Malhoff. So I'm looking for a motion that would reflect appointing her to the Rocky Mountain House Municipal Library Board for a 3-year term, in this case effective January 1st, 2022. So that's at the beginning of next year. Councillor Graham, and any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And finally, we're looking for a expression of interest for the Parkland Regional Library Board. I have served on that in the past, and I'm willing to provide some continuity with that, either as alternate or the primary, depending on other levels of interest here. So, anybody interested in letting their name stand for the Parkland Regional Library? We need one more spot, no matter what. Okay, fair enough. So it would read then that council appoints Councillor Lawhead and Councillor Northcott as alternate to the Parkland Regional Library Board for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. I'm looking for that motion. I'm still looking. Councillor Swanson, thank you very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Takes us on to the next one. This is our ICF committee. So I will pass that along to CEO Reeve again.
So, intermunicipal collaboration frameworks legislated in the Municipal Government Act are intended to provide for integrated and strategic planning, delivery and funding of intermunicipal services, allocate scarce resources efficiently in the providing of local services, and ensure municipalities contribute funding to services that benefit their residents. Municipalities that share a common boundary must create an ICF with each other unless they are members of the same growth management board. Each framework must describe the services that benefit residents in more than one of the municipalities, identify which municipality is responsible for providing these services, outline how the services will be delivered and funded, and include a process for resolving disputes that occur while the framework is in effect. Municipalities will be required to review their ICFs every 5 years after the creation of the initial one, or within a shorter period of time if provided for within the framework itself. Clearwater County completed 13 required ICFs with each of the following municipalities. I won't list them all. With the exceptions of Wetaskiwin County and Improvement Districts 12 and 9, Jasper and Banff, each of the ICFs established non-decision-making intermunicipal collaboration committees to negotiate and manage intermunicipal opportunities and challenges. Comprised of elected officials and administration representing their councils, these committees strategically identify opportunities and prioritize intermunicipal actions to formulate recommendations for their respective councils' consideration. A separate ICC is not required for Wetaskiwin County, as we have that committee already. And committees are required to meet at least once every term, except the Caroline Clearwater ICC, which is required to meet at least once per year. So you will see that there are a whole whack of staff recommendations. And again, the typical action would be to appoint the councillors that are closest or abut the intermunicipal relationship partner. But of course, that's up to this council. So I'm not going to read them all out. I think it's best for you to go one at a time and just.
Right, and maybe, thank you for that. Maybe if you can also, because we have already filled the positions for a very similarly termed committee, which is the described as the Intermunicipal Cooperation or / Collaboration Committee, Town of Rocky Mountain House, Village Caroline, Clearwater County. The wording on this kind of maybe creates a bit of question within, because we are dealing with ICFs, really a framework as opposed to a collaboration committee. Is there, am I wrong on the fine line or the?
There is a fine line there, you're right. And so, for example, we specifically have partnership agreements with Rocky, for example, or regional agreements with Rocky and Caroline. But this is a legislated requirement that meets the needs between each of these partners along the way. So they're specifically for one partner each. And they're definitely going to be complementary in some cases. But these all need to be enacted for the specific partnership that they list. And the other ones that, so the Wetaskiwin one's a good example. Wetaskiwin, we enacted that one because we have an intermunicipal development plan between us and that county. And we said that committee will carry the load for this job, this duty. But we have not done that with any other situation. So you need to have all these committees to carry the load of how we meet the legislative requirement, which in essence says we will play nice with our neighbors.
Thank you for that. I hope that answered some of the questions that you may have had in your mind about this. Any further questions before we get into the appointments? If not, we'll take them off one by one. I think, some of these only meet once every 4 years, and I hope you've had a chance to look at what the workload might be with putting your name in on some of these. I don't think it's, some of them are going to be maybe once within the term, and other ones will be every year. So
these are all typically once within the term because they are all very straightforward. It's not as though we share sort of municipal services or even have a municipality that we partner with providing services for. So these are pretty much very straightforward committees. That may change should development change, but for right now, they are what you would call a low commitment.
thank you. So I'm going to tick them off one at a time here. So we will start with the interest in the Bighorn Clearwater ICC committee. Mr. Ratcliffe or Councillor Ratcliffe? And Councillor Malhoff. Any further interest in that? If not, I'm looking for a motion that council appoints Councillors Malhoff and Ratcliffe to the Bighorn Clearwater Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee for a 1-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Looking for that motion. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. We move on to the Brazeau Clearwater Committee. Expressions of interest in that one. Councillor Ratcliffe and Councillor Swanson. So I'm looking for a motion then that council appoints Councillors Swanson and Ratcliffe to the Brazeau Clearwater Municipal Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Looking for that motion. Councillor Graham? And all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Looking for the next one, Caroline Clearwater Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee. Councillor Northcott and Councillor Cermak. Okay, any further discussion on that? I'm looking for a motion, oh, sorry.
You have one spot on that
Only
committee.
one spot, oh, that's correct. Okay, so if we want, we can go to special ballot on that. And unless you guys would want to defer one to the other? Okay, so that would be Councillor Cermak then in that position. So, okay, so then I'm looking for a motion to appoint the Reeve, which is myself, and Councillor Cermak to the Caroline Clearwater Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Looking for that motion. Councillor Ratcliffe? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Very good. Everybody's getting very good at raising their right hand. I think it's good practice. Okay, next one is the Lacombe Clearwater Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee. I'm going to quit saying that, intermunicipal. I can't say it. So, looking for expressions of interest, Councillor Graham and Councillor Swanson. So I'm looking for a motion then to appoint Councillors Graham and Swanson to the Lacombe Committee, effective October 25th, 2021. Looking for that motion. Councillor Melhoff? And any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to the next. We are at Burnt Stick Lake, Clearwater Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee.
We do in the industry, we almost always just say ICC. So if you would like to shorten it to that,
I would love that, actually.
you can feel free.
Love that. And you probably would love to hear me speak less too, which is good. And in this case, it appears as though it's the Reeve that's been typically appointed to that. So I would, of course, stick my hand up for that and make that motion. Any further discussion on that? If not, then I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. And that brings us to Mountain View, looking for expressions of interest in the Mountain View ICC. And we have 3 councillors that have indicated. That would be Councillors Malhoff, Councillors Graham, and Councillors, no, you'll withdraw? Okay, so that would be Councillors Malhoff and Councillors Northcott. For that, I'm looking for a motion to that effect that we appoint them. Councillor Swanson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Next one. We are at Panoka Clearwater. And again, 2 councillors to this position. Looking for expressions of interest. Councillor Swanson and Councillors Graham. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Melhoff, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that would be carried. Thank you. Next one, 2 councillors again, Red Deer Clearwater ICC. Looking for motions or expressions of interest. Deputy Reeve Northcott, sorry, I've got to get used to the proper terminology as well too. So. And anybody, Councillor Graham, excellent. Any further discussion? I'm looking for that motion then to that effect. Councillor Swanson. And I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And that brings us down to the close by one, Rocky Clearwater ICC. Expressions of interest. Councillor Melhoff. And I will express an interest in that I
You don't
guess
have
I'm
a
already
choice,
am.
sir.
Oh, I'm already on that. Sorry. Sorry, I need to read better. But I'm looking for two councillors, Councillor Ratcliffe and Councillors Melhoff. Looking for a motion then to that effect. Councillor Swanson, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. And the final one, as far as I can see here, is Yellowhead, Clearwater County. And again, we're looking for two councillors. Councillor Swanson, thank you. And looking down the line, Councillor Ratcliffe was quick at the draw there. So I'm looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Melhoff, any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So that takes care of 7.3.6. The next one is the recreation boards. And we have a number of those as well, and I will turn it over to CAO Reeve.
Thank you, Reeve Lloyd. So Carolina District Recreation Agricultural Society, established by Bylaw 111, amending Bylaw 493. This society facilitates the operation of the Hub Complex in Caroline and acts as a review body for recreation grant funding to the groups in the Caroline area. Meetings are scheduled on the second Tuesday of the month except August. You have a public member appointment there who has withdrawn his name, so that will be reposted. We don't need a motion to re-advertise, or do we? Okay. Oh yeah, we did that already. Okay, so we will ask for a motion to re-advertise when we get to that point. David Thompson Recreation Board, established by Bylaw 1101. This board acts as an advisory body on all matters affecting the development of recreation services, maintenance, and use of recreational facilities in and around the communities of Alhambra, Arbutus, Aurora, Bingley, Oris, Condor, Evergreen, Stauffer, Gimlet, Leslieville, Withrow, and the Condor, Leslieville, and David Thompson schools. Meetings are scheduled on the first Thursday of the month except July and August. North Saskatchewan Recreation Board, established by Bylaw 1099. This board allocates designated grant funding for rural recreational purposes within the communities of Faraway, Frisco, Buster Creek, Ferrier, Hardendale, Everdale, as well as outlying areas within townships 37-47 and ranges 5 to 10. Meetings will be determined. Public member appointments. So again, we have a public member appointment applicant who has withdrawn, of course. So you'll need to re-advertise for that. Raven Recreation Board, established by Bylaw 1100. This new board allocates designated grant funding for rural recreational purposes within the communities of Dovercourt, Butte, Shiloh, Cramond, Gwendale, Hazeldale, as well as outlying areas within the listed township and ranges. Meetings to be determined. No applications were received on time. The Rocky and District Recreation Parks and Community Services, established by Bylaw 546 with agreement. This board acts as an advisory body affecting the development of policies and guidelines on matters relating to the Christensen Sports and Wellness Center, the Credit Union Co-op Aquatic Center, the Lou Soppet Community Center, athletic fields and playgrounds, recreational programming. Meetings are scheduled on the first Wednesday of the month, excepting July and August. So you, again, do not have a public member to appoint as Councillor Melhoff has stepped down, has removed herself. So that means that the motions you need to accomplish are the ones that apply councillors. All of the other ones, I will suggest, if with your permission, that you make a motion right now to move, the motion would read to re-advertise for the vacant positions on all recreation boards. Oh, he's staying on this one. My apologies. So that will be for the Carolina District. Tim Plant will stay on this one. So you can appoint, you can do his. So again, I will suggest you start with a motion that says that council moves to re-advertise for the vacant recreation board positions.
Okay. Thank you for that. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a motion to that effect to re-advertise for those vacant positions. Looking for that motion. Councillor Graham, Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. That takes us back to the councillor positions for the Caroline and District Recreation and Agricultural Society. Expressions of interest. Councillor Cermak and Deputy Reeve. Okay, we do need an alternate, and you'll go as alternate? Okay, so then the motion shall read then that council appoints Councillor Cermak and Councillor Northcott as alternate to the Caroline and District Agricultural Society for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. So looking for that motion. Councillor Swanson? And any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. I think I'm under the understanding that Tim Plant will offer his name for the public member for Caroline and District. So I guess the motion I'm looking for is that council appoints Tim Plant as public member to the Caroline and District Recreation and Agricultural Society for a 2-year term effective November 1st, 2021. Looking for that motion. Councillor Melhoff, any further discussion? Seeing none, I shall call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. That brings us to the David Thompson Rec Board. I would express interest in that myself. I've served on there for a lifetime, and I'll probably be there. And you would like to serve as well, so would you be comfortable with alternate? Okay, thank you very much. So that will be the council appoints Councillor Lougheed and Councillor Graham as alternate to the David Thompson Recreation Board for a 1-year term. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Oh, looking for that motion. Councillor Swanson, thank you. You know, some days you just... Okay. Yes, we have a motion before us, thankfully. And any further discussion on that? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Now we're looking at the basically newly formed North Saskatchewan Recreation Board. Two councillor appointments there. Looking for expressions of interest. We have Councillor Melhoff, Councillor Ratcliffe interested in that. So I would be looking for a motion to that effect moving forward. So looking for that motion. Councillor Graham, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next one. This is a member appointment. Of course, we're skipping over that because we have no applicants anymore for that. So we're going to advertise that again. So when I will skip forward to the Raven Recreation Board, I have served on that in its first year. I would be willing to let my name stand for that, and Councillor Cermak. So then, would you? This one is just two members, but I would defer if you were interested in that at all. Oh, sorry, you would be interested in that? Okay, so let's go with Councillor Cermak and Deputy Reeve Northcott in that position. And I would be looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson. You know, everybody can put their hands up too, right? So that's good. Thank you for that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. And I'm flipping the page here, so bear with me for a second. So again, this is the public member appointment. We're going to re-advertise for that, and hopefully we get a good turnout for that. I think they're very worthwhile boards. So we're looking at the Rocky and District Recreation Parks and Community Services Board, and that's a one-year term. Looking for expressions of interest from two councillors on that. Councillor Swanson and Councillor Melhoff. Okay. I'm looking for a motion to that effect. Is it an alternate?
Yeah, I'd be happy to be alternate.
Okay. So looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Ratcliffe? Okay. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And I think this brings us down to the end, and of course we have no public member interested in that at the moment. Encourage the public to put their names forward. These are great boards to serve on. So that takes us to the end of 7.3. We're starting on our community committees, and that's in 7.4. 7.4.1, and that is the Clearwater Community Crime Watch Group. And again, I turn it over to CAO Reeve.
So established as a volunteer-based community organization, this group's objectives are to assist with the following: improve community awareness with regard to crime prevention, promote crime prevention through the sharing of information regarding techniques, products, and ideas, interact and share information with other crime watch prevention groups within the province, cooperate with local law enforcement agencies in preventing and reporting crime, establish and maintain a system of communication amongst the residents and businesses in the associations. It is recommended that the appointee is the same as the appointee to the Clearwater Community Police Advisory Committee. And so you just have a councillor and an alternate to appoint for a one-year term.
Great, thank you very much. Looking for indications of interest. Councillor Graham and Councillor Ratcliffe. Now we got to fight it out over who's primary and alternate.
I would like to be primary for a phase.
The Crime Watch people called me and asked me to be on this committee. And I said I would do my best to accommodate them.
Okay, that's very good. Or we can, if you really want, we can go to a secret ballot. Always keep that in the back of mind. We can pound it out. We can go through speeches for a week or two too. I always enjoy discussion. So, but are you okay?
I'm good with
okay
that,
with
yeah.
that? So then I guess we will have a motion to that effect that I would be looking for. So I'm looking down the line. I haven't got a motion from Councillor Cermak for a while. So would you be willing to make that motion? Thank you very much. So in this case, further discussion on this? If not, I will call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next group, Clearwater Regional Family and Community Support Services Committee. And again, across the room.
Established by the Family and Community Support Services Act, as well as our intermunicipal agreements with our partners, this board assists in formulating plans and priorities for social services programming in the region. Meetings are scheduled on the second Wednesday of every month, and you have two councillors to appoint to this board for a one-year term.
Thank you for that. This one I think meets fairly regularly if I'm familiar with the activities of the group, so this could be a fairly large time commitment. Just putting that forward, looking for expressions of interest in this. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Anybody else? I will put my name forward for that as well. So looking for that motion to that effect. Councillor Melhoff, any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much. That's carried. Community Futures. Again, across the room.
Established as a nonprofit organization and funded by the federal government, this organization supports rural economic diversification and provides small business services, programs, and business management tools. Meetings are scheduled as required, and you are looking for one councillor for that board. One-year term as well.
Thank you. So back into the routine, expressions of interest for that position. Councillor Northcott, Councillor Ratcliffe. One position here. I think it's, if I understand it, it's an as required, so it's not maybe the biggest of time commitments either, but.
I think it's more appropriate for the Deputy Reeve to take this
Okay.
position.
Okay,
So I withdraw.
are you, if you're okay with that as well?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So the motion will read to appoint Deputy Reeve Northcott as Community Futures Representative, Central Alberta Representative for a one-year term. Can I have a motion to that effect? Councillor Ratcliffe was first. I'm seeing that reflection. I can catch you guys back here too, so don't be afraid to put your hands up. So, any further discussion? If not, I'll call that question. All those in favor? Great, thank you. That's carried. Back to my list. Rocky Community Learning Council.
If I could jump back to Nordic Community Association, sorry, you've skipped one.
Oh, we did skip? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're absolutely right.
And that one's straightforward. Established as a society by the residents of Nordegg, this association focuses on attracting and retaining recreation, education, and industry to the Nordegg community. The meetings are scheduled once per month, and they are out in Nordegg. You need one councillor to appoint for a one-year term.
Great, thank you. And Councillor Melhoff?
I would just like to ask council that we look at allowing for all of our community associations to be added to this, rather than just the Nordic Association, that we add in the Hardendale Association, and all of the other associations to this,
Okay.
so that we can have council representation on all of the community associations, not just Nordic.
Interesting thought. I think we have, I'm trying to remember back how many individual community associations. I do sit on the David Thompson Rec Board. I believe there are about 13 plus organizations currently on that. So it could be a sizable time commitment if we had council representation on each, and I'm going to defer to CEO Reed on this as well.
So there's a couple of things. This was by invitation of this committee. And secondly, you mentioned the other recreation boards, and the other recreation boards are, tend to be the umbrella group for a large number of community associations. Whereas Nordic, with their distance from us, isn't part of one of those boards, right? As far as I know. But
So should one of those other communities want council representation, they could formally request that?
And I think, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but I think each individual councillor has that opportunity to contact their local community centers within their division and ask if they would like, to have a presentation or have representation on that. And at that point, I think we can come back and as a council decide whether we support you in doing that as well. For remunerance. If that's something you were looking at, I think there's good quality, good value of having our councillors interact with our community centers. I just think it might be somewhat onerous to find somebody to interact with, or it would be a large job, I believe, to interact in everyone. Sometimes the umbrella groups are very useful in doing that. So anyway, CO Reed.
you're right about the umbrella groups are instrumental, but in fact, that's what they were formed for originally, to alleviate imagine how many you might have to go to every month, but when the Raven Recreation Board meets, it encompasses that region, and thereby there's some efficiencies gained, but there's also a regional perspective gained to each of the smaller boards. And again, out there in Nordic, they don't have a partner board they could play with. They don't have a regional recreation board that they can join. So there is a slight difference due to that geography, I guess.
Thank you for the clarification.
And thank you for the question as well. I think typically in the past, this role has been the local councillor or the councillor responsible for that hamlet or the area directly around that hamlet has chosen that as an inroad into making, their community aware of the services available through Clearwater County as well. So I'll just put it out there that expressions of interest to serve on the Nordic Community Association. And that would be Councillor Ratcliffe. Any further interest in that? If not, I'm looking for a motion to appoint Councillor Ratcliffe to the Nordic Community Association for a 1-year term. And I see Councillor Cermak was quick to the draw there. So any further discussion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Now I had skipped over Nordic, so now we're back on to 7.4.5, which is the Rocky Community Learning Council, and again, across the room.
So this group is established as a nonprofit organization. The community-based board of directors oversee the governance and operation for the Rocky Learning Center. Meetings are scheduled on the third Thursday of each month, excepting in the summer. And you need to appoint one councillor for a 1-year term.
Thank you. Looking for the same old song here. Expressions of interest in that position. I will stick my hand up then in that case. And so that would, our motion would read to that effect, please. And any further discussion on that? If not, all those in favor? And that would be carried. Thank you.
I so move.
Oh. Hey, we should almost have like a cuss jar for every time I do that. So then we'll do it again. So we have the motion in front of us. All those in favor? And thank you very much. Carried. Rocky Mountain House Museum Operations Board.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. Established by agreement between Rocky Mountain House Reunion Historical Society, or RMHRHS, which I'm not sure is any faster than Rocky Mountain House Reunion Historical Society, the town of Rocky Mountain House and Clearwater County. This board acts as an advisory board body to RMHRHS regarding operations of the museum building in Pioneer Park. Meetings are scheduled quarterly, and you need to have 2 councillors for a 1-year term.
Thank you. Looking for expressions of interest. 2 councillors for this. Deputy Reeve Northcott and Councillor Swanson. So I'm looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Graham, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you very much. That's carried. RCMP Advisory Committees, and we have a number of these. Again, across the room.
So, Clearwater Community Police Advisory Committee, established as a volunteer-based community organization, this committee acts as an advisory body to the Rocky Mountain House RCMP detachment. Meetings are scheduled on the 2nd Wednesday of every month. It is recommended that appointee to this committee is the same as the appointee to the Clearwater Community Crime Watch Group. You also have Rimbey RCMP Community Consultative Group and Sundre RCMP Community Advisory Committee. Established by the respective RCMP detachments, these multi-stakeholder committees act as advisory bodies on local crime prevention. Meetings are scheduled as required. And you have the School Resource Officer, or SRO, Committee, established by agreements between Clearwater County, Town of Rocky Mountain House, and Wild Rose Public School Division. This committee reviews the RCMP SRO program. Meetings are scheduled once or twice per year. And so you have 4 motions in front of you, 2 councillors for the Clearwater Community Police Advisory, 1 primary, 1 alternate. You have a councillor to the Rimbey, a councillor to the Sundre RCMP Community Advisory Committees, and a councillor and an alternate to the School Resource Officer Committee for 1-year terms effective today.
Okay, thank you. I know that Councillor Ratcliffe was, you are the Crime Watch representative. Are you interested in
Yes.
Okay, and then we would also need an alternate as well. Councillor Graham, any further expressions of interest in these positions? If not, I'm looking for a motion to the effect of filling those positions with those that. Councillor Graham?
No. Councillor Cermak?
Or Councillor Cermak, sorry. Maybe it's time for a break almost, eh? Councillor Cermak, any further questions? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried, thank you. Rimby RCMP Community Advisory Committee, expression of interest. Councillor Graham? Any further expressions of interest? Okay. So we would need a motion to that effect then. And so moved by Councillor Ratcliffe. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Sundry RCMP, expression of interest. Deputy Reeve Northcott. Any further expressions of interest? If not, I would have a motion to reflect that appointment. Councillor Swanson, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And here we're looking for two councillors for the School Resource Officer Committee, a primary and an alternate. Expression of interest from two councillors. Councillor Swanson and Councillor Ratcliffe. I think Councillor Swanson. Okay. So the motion will read Councillor Swanson and Councillor Ratcliffe as alternate. If I can have a motion to that effect. Councillor Melhoff, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. That takes us past, where are we at here? We're on 7.4.8, and that is the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, or CAPE, as we've term it. I'll pass it across the room again.
So the Central Alberta Economic Partnership, or CAPE, is established within the Provincial Regional Economic Development Alliance, which often is called the REDA as well. With 35 community members, this nonprofit organization facilitates and supports business development in urban and rural municipalities. The attached documents, of course, provided key information for you regarding municipal engagement with CAPE, CAPE projects, and upcoming events. In addition to the councillor appointment, a CAPE business representative or citizen at large is also appointed. Meetings are scheduled every 2 months. And Tim Plant is keeping his name on this? Yeah. So council received applications from Jennifer Melhoff, who stepped down, and Tim Plant, who's the current member for the public position. So you need to appoint a councillor and you need to appoint a public member at large.
Okay, thank you.
I will only throw in that CAPE has been very active recently, and they're, whoever goes on this board, there is work to be done, and there is certainly, Clearwater County has many interests in where this board is going.
Yes, I think this has developed into a very important board. Looking for expressions of interest, I know that Councillor Melhoff had expressed interest in serving as a public member before. Are you interested as a council member? Okay, and Mr. Ratcliffe, you're interested as well? Okay, and Councillor Swanson. So this is one of these moments where we get to either campaign, or we'll just go directly to the secret ballot. Oh,
Both of them being interested, I can remove my name.
okay, so that brings us down still to a secret ballot with 2 names. Okay, are we comfortable with working forward in that? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Select one name here for appointment to the CAPE Alliance.
And the red bucket will come around. Yeah. Thank you, Director Haggart, for jumping to the spot
Thank
there.
you. So I think for expediency, we can probably move forward with the public appointment. We have one individual that's expressed an interest or applied for that. His name is Tim Plant. And I guess if we want to acclaim him in that position, we would need a motion to that effect. So I'm looking for that motion. Councillor Cermak, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. One more community organization that we can maybe start to discuss anyway, Rocky Mountain House Clearwater County.
If I may.
Okay, sure.
Motion remaining in front of council is that council appoints Councillor Swanson to the Central Alberta Economic Partnership Alliance for a one-year term effective October 25th.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Ratcliffe. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And thank you. That's carried.
Okay.
Moving on, 7.4.9, Rocky Mountain House Clearwater County Health Professionals Engagement Team.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. Established as a joint municipal effort by the town of Rocky Mountain House, Village of Caroline, and Clearwater County, this multi-stakeholder committee, formerly known as the Physician Recruitment and Retention Committee, plans initiatives for recruitment and retention of health professionals to service residents and neighboring First Nations communities. Meetings are scheduled once a month. And I will make a quick note here. You have a recommendation that you appoint councillor and an alternate, but you also need to make a motion to advertise for the space vacated by Councillor Melhalf, as she has joined the council and cannot sit on this board anymore. So you'll have two motions. One, to appoint to a councillor and an alternate, and then a second motion to advertise the opening.
Thank you for that. Should we do the advertising motion first?
Sure. So the motion would be that council approves re-advertising for the public member opening on the Health Professionals Engagement Team.
So looking for a motion as stated. Councillor Graham. And any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that brings us back to expressions of interest. Health Professionals Engagement Team. Councillor Melhalf. And you would express interest as well? As an alternate, okay. So we can have a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. I keep asking that. Nobody ever says anything after. I almost feel I shouldn't say it, but I think it's part of the whole process here. Anyway, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Brings us into 7.5. That's our industry-related committees. So starting at 7.5.1, and we're okay to go forward still?
That's correct,
Thank
please.
you. 7.5.1, West Central Stakeholder Group, and back across the room.
And I will only mention that all three of these in section 7.5 are industry committees formed by external stakeholders, and they meet to facilitate communication and foster relationships. So in this particular case, the West Central Stakeholder Group is the synergy group which presents and discusses information related to the oil and gas industry operations in West Central Alberta. Meetings are scheduled on the first Tuesday of every month. And you need a councillor for the year term.
Okay, expressions of interest on this one. This one can have a fairly large time commitment if the industry is busy, so it's 12 times a year. So, and it's also on a Tuesday, and we seldom get a Tuesday off around this gig. So just putting that out there as people consider committing to this. So looking for one councillor, West Central Stakeholder Group. Councillor Deputy Reeve Northcott. All right, any further expressions of interest? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to the effect to appoint our Deputy Reeve Northcott to the West Central Stakeholders Group for a one-year term effective October 25th, 2021. Councillor Ratcliffe, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to sundry forest products. And again, across the room.
So this is established by West Fraser Mills, and the group discusses forest management issues and acts in an advisory capacity to sundry forest products. The meetings are scheduled 4 to 6 times per year.
Okay, thank you. Again, looking for that expression of interest.
As the mill is in my division, I'll put it
Forward.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Melhoff, any further expressions of interest? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Oh,
You do need an alternate here.
oh, we do need an alternate as well. Sorry, I should have seen that.
I could have mentioned it probably.
Deputy Reeve Northcott. So a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next one is SPOG, or Sundry Petroleum Operators.
So this Sundry Petroleum Operators Group Board of Directors is made of volunteers from industry, community, and government. They are a policy-making board that sets the goals and directions for SPOG and the subsequent committees that fall under their umbrella, such as the Community Affairs Committee. Meetings are scheduled quarterly, and you have been requested to appoint a councillor and an alternate for the Board of Directors, as well as a councillor, or they're willing to accept staff to the Community Affairs Committee. I do not have a staff member to present. I suggest that this is a more appropriate place for a politician to be.
Thank you for that. Can that be the same individual?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So looking for expressions of interest then.
I need to apologize.
Okay.
Remember, I told you this was my first time.
Okay.
So I misread this. Typically, we do appoint Jerry Pratt, our Economic Development Operator, Economic Development Officer, as the staff representative to the Community Affairs Committee, and I apologize for misspeaking. This is what happens when you're the new guy.
Okay. Hey, that new guy card. I'm looking for the stack of those right now. I think I need a new guy card too. So we're looking for 2 councillors, a primary and an alternate. Expressions of interest around the table for that. Councillor or Deputy Reeve Northcott and an alternate. I would serve. Oh, Councillor Cermak, absolutely. Any further expressions of interest? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to reflect those expressions of interest. Thank you, Councillor Swanson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, looking to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And again, we're looking for potential for us appointing Jerry Pratt as a staff representative to the Affairs Committee of this group. Looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Graham, and any further discussion there? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. I see that lunch is there. I think we've probably got a little too much to push through, or what is the thought? Do we want to push through?
At the current pace you're running, Reeve Lougheed, I think you could
We
complete
think we can
these.
push through.
Yeah.
If that's agreeable with council, then we can have a well-deserved lunch break. So that takes us to, flip the page here, 7.6, our Stewardship Committees. 7.6.1, which is the Bighorn Back Committee, or Backcountry Standing Committee. Again, across the table.
And this committee is established by Alberta Environment and Parks Sustainable Resource Development. So this committee assists with ongoing planning and managing of access to the Bighorn Backcountry. This appointment also includes participation in the Clearwater Forest Recreation Trail Initiative, and the meetings are scheduled 2 to 4 times per year. And of course, the Bighorn Backcountry is a big part of our West Country, so big part of the work we have to do.
Thank
You need a councillor and an alternate for a year term.
Thank you very much. Again, the same old song. Who's interested in that? Deputy Reeve Northcott and Councillor Ratcliffe. Now, I guess the fight here is which one of you would prefer to be primary or alternates? You would?
Yeah, I think this envelops a lot of Division 5 and 1.
And Division 1.
Okay.
So we can certainly go to ballot here and that,
Can I offer background?
sorry?
Can I offer background?
Absolutely.
So I've served as the alternate on this particular committee for the last couple of years, behind Councillor Duncan. Because of Councillor Duncan's past experience with the CTI group and henceforth. It is 2 meetings a year. It is involving with the Friends of the Eastern Slopes. There's a bike. There's quite a large group. It's via Zoom with this. And I found it quite interesting. They've actually allowed the alternate and the committee member to be part of that Zoom meeting. So with that, going forward, there'll be there is some interaction, but it is very specific to the areas in the West Country. So for example, Friends of the Eastern Slopes that take care of the 2 campgrounds, things like that, they bring forth a report, as well as AEP of our Alberta Environment Parks, sorry. Yeah, they are an advisory to Alberta Environment Parks. That's where that is. So yes, you're at a consensus, and each group brings forward their reports, but it is more of an advisory role.
And maybe I might ask our CAO, is there typically in the past on some of it, we have had alternates attend meetings, especially when they're trying to gain background knowledge on these. Is there some provision that we can actually have both the primary and the alternate attend for a period of time?
Make that request of each of these individual boards, and I would be surprised if they would say no. But yes, absolutely, that is commonly done.
Sure.
Or has been commonly done.
So I think, there's certainly benefit to having that background knowledge, not just going in cold on these ones. So some opportunity there perhaps to. So do we want to go to the ballot then on the primary and alternate, or can we find an arrangement that works?
I would like to ask Deputy Reeve Northcott what his particular interest and background is in this. As he may be, as I don't know his
As an
wishes to
active
contribute.
user of the backcountry and stuff like that, I have interest in this particular board. I spend a lot of time in the backcountry and stuff like that, so that's why I'm interested in it.
Okay. Or I prefer to fly over it.
Yeah.
So I would be content being the alternate.
Okay, thank you for that. So then I guess I'm looking for a motion to reflect that, if I could. Councillor Melhoff. Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 7.6.2, North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, Board of Directors, and North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance Headwaters Partnership Steering Committee.
Thank you,
Again.
Reeve Lougheed. Under
Thank
the
you.
Government of Alberta's Water for Life strategy, the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, or NSWA, became one of 11 watershed planning and advisory councils, or WPACs, in Alberta in 2005. The NSWA provides a discussion forum to address issues affecting the North Saskatchewan River watershed. It initiates and encourages activities that result in best practices for watershed management. The NSWA Headwaters Partnership Steering Committee, established and supported by the NSWA, oversees technical work on the state of headwaters in the North Saskatchewan River watershed. And you need one councillor to that Board of Directors and Headwaters Partnership Steering Committee for a one-year term.
Thank you. Again, same old song, looking for expressions of interest in that position. Councillor Swanson.
Reeve Lougheed, not to put you on the spot, but I do know that the past Rocky Mountain House Mayor has been on this particular
Okay.
board, and it might be advisable for this next year for,
Sure.
if I could so be bold to
I
say
would be-
and
I
nominate
would
you to be there.
pleased- I would be pleased to put my name there if that meets council's approval. So again, looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Swanson, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? Thank you.
Your meetings are super informative, you'll enjoy it.
Thank you for that. I look forward to it. That takes us, that was actually on the steering, that took in both of those.
Correct.
That's right. Thank you. And now we are on to other appointments, which is section 8, and that is appointment of Central District 2 RMA, or CRMA in this case. And here we're looking for, I'll pass it over to CAO Reed.
So Rural Municipalities of Alberta, as you may or may not be aware, is the umbrella organization that represents all rural municipalities in interactions with the province, et cetera. And District 2 consists of the members in the Central Alberta Zone, who meet twice yearly to review resolutions that are to be presented at the RMA conventions. The director attends 2 directors' meetings as well as 2 District 2 general meetings per year. And this has typically been the Reeve and the Deputy Reeve as the alternate. But of course, it's up to the will of this council to decide how they'd wish to do it. So you need a councillor and a councillor as alternate for a one-year term effective today.
So thank you for that. I certainly will put my name forward with that and then look for an expression of interest from our Deputy Reeve as well. So if that's agreeable, I'm looking for a motion to that effect then. Councillor Melhoff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Appointment of community peace officers.
Thank you, Reeve Lougheed. In accordance with the Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act, Section 27, Subsection 1, a local authority shall designate a sufficient number of inspectors and investigators to carry out the administration of provisions of the Act under Section 18 and Part 9, Waste Minimization, Recycling and Waste Management, Division 2. The staff recommendation is that Council appoints Community Peace Officers, Highway Patrol Officers Sergeant Terry Miller, Ron MacGyver, Jason Lucas, and Chad Cumberland as 2021-2022 Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act Inspectors Investigators for a one-year term effective today.
Thank you for that. I am looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Graham, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. On to the next. Where are we at here?
8.3.
8.3, yes. Appointment of Reeve, Deputy Reeve to Central Alberta Mayors and Reeves Committee.
So established as a committee by the Central Alberta Urban and Rural Municipalities, this group meets several times a year to discuss current issues. Appointment authorizes the Reeve and Deputy Reeve's attendance.
Thank you.
This is really a formality to basically mean that if this group gets called, the Reeve and Deputy Reeve are already authorized to go.
Sure. So looking for a motion to that effect. Councillor Ratcliffe, any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Appointment of fire guardians, and this one has a lot of words, I think, but
In accordance with the MGA, fire guardian means a person named, appointed, or deemed as a fire guardian pursuant to Section 4 Forest and Prairie Protection Act. The Reeve, each councillor and CAO are by virtue of their offices fire guardians in and for the municipal district, and the relevant regulations are there, but before March 1st, the council of a municipal district shall appoint for a term not exceeding 1 year a sufficient number of fire guardians to enforce the Forest and Prairie Protections Act within the boundaries. Council appoints fire guardians to enforce the provisions of the Forest and Prairie Protection Act within the boundaries of our county. And the recommendation is the council appoints Christine Haggart, the Director of Emergency and Legislative Services, Stephen Debienne, the Fire Chief, Sean St. Peter, Deputy Chief, Evan Stewart, Deputy Chief, and Selby Brown, Assistant Chief, and Community Peace Officers, Highway Patrol Officer Sergeant Terry Miller, Ron McIver, Jason Lucas, Chad Cumberland as the 2021-2022 Fire Guardians for a 1-year term starting today.
thank you very much. So we're looking for a motion to that effect. I won't repeat all that. Councillor Cermak was first to the draw this time, so any further discussion? If not, then I will call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Brings us down to point 9. I'm not sure what this means. Adjournment, what is that? Thank you very much for your patience dealing with me. I am going to play the new guy card here as much as possible. I see lunch is ready and waiting for us, so we will be looking for a motion for adjournment. We'll see you all next year for this.
For this particular meeting. See you all tomorrow for regular
Yes.
council meeting.
Motion for adjournment. Councillor Ratcliffe, thank you. All those in favor? And we are adjourned.